And sorcerers, like I said, they are hungry for more learned spells. And if you take these feats, you grab all of these things, it will fill up your sheet. You'll have a lot more to do.
Hello, friends. Robert Bevan here, author of the Caverns Creatures series of comedy, fantasy novels, and short stories. With me is Cameron, aka Prince Phantom. And today we are going to talk about his picks for the best feats for the Sorcerer class.
Yeah, sorcerers, full casters, they don't get a lot of spells unless you're two specific subclasses. Well, three sort of, but that third one doesn't get good spells. And they've got a lot of feats that interact with them in very interesting ways. Um, it's also the privilege of being a full caster that there's really no feats that they have to take. They're
Oh, there's one I think pretty close to necessary. It's
yeah,
I think it's the first one you're going to talk about.
yeah, I would agree with you. By the way, I think it feels at least really good to take.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, sorcerers are full casters. They're charisma based. They kind of get to have their cake and eat it too. They're they get mostly the best hits from the wizard list. There's a couple exceptions, but they're they're plenty well off enough. They're not lacking.
No.
Just a couple of utility things and summon effects they don't get until later levels. But aside from that, they're fine.
Yeah, I mean, look, but most importantly, we have Metamagic to enhance what spells we do get.
Yeah, and we're going to see how some feats can interact with metamagic. You've talked a lot in your recent ranking of sorcerer spells, how spells can interact with metamagic. Well, there's some feats
Yeah.
that interact with it too. So the first and most obvious one of those is Metamagic Adept. I
Yes.
believe this is probably what you were talking about earlier.
It absolutely was.
I genuinely think that you could take this as early as possible, and the earlier you take it, the better it's going to feel. It gives you 2 extra sorcery points and 2 extra metamagics known.
Yeah, I mean,
So
if Metamagic or if you all right, if you have your limited spells and you have a play pattern that you're in love with, you want to be able to do that as much as possible.
yep, this facilitates that.
Yep.
Yeah, so imagine taking this at level 4. You're going from 4 sorcery points and 2 metamagics to 6 sorcery points and 4 metamagics. That's
Yep.
a big upgrade. And in fact, you'll notice the impact of it more the earlier you take it. You take it at 12th level, you're going from 12 sorcery points to 14, and you're going from like 4 known metamagics to 6. Still good,
Yeah.
but you notice it a lot more the earlier you take it. Hey, you get this at level 1 through your race or something, and you're hitting the ground running. You know, so regular
Sure.
sorcerers don't even get sorcery points until level 2. They don't get meta magic until level 3. You're ahead of the curve.
Huh, that's a
So
good point. Yeah.
it lets you, yeah, it lets you do the cool thing faster. It's ironic that the feat is designed to let other classes have a little bit of the sorcerer's pie. It's actually best if just taken by a sorcerer.
Yeah, because I mean, on other classes, it doesn't do a whole lot. I mean, you get
Right, 2 sorcery points isn't a
two
lot.
sorcery points. That's, I mean, depending on how many battles you go through in a gaming
Yeah,
session or in a
yeah,
adventuring day, yeah, that might be enough. But
yeah. But it's undeniable that the best user of
oh
Metamagic
yeah,
Adept
yeah,
is just sorcerer. The more good stuff on top of your already good stuff is great stuff.
yeah. Yes.
So yeah, I highly recommend you take it as early as possible. Allows you to pick up some more niche meta magic that you might not have wanted to take initially as well. Because everybody's going to pick up Twin Spell. Most people are going to want Quicken Spell. This lets you pick up some of the more niche ones like Subtle Spell or Extend Spell or even Empower Spell if you want to get a bit more out of your blasts.
In
So
the comment section of this channel, subtle spell is what people are gunning for right away.
yeah, trust me, it's what I got for right away as well. It's why I love the Aberrant Mind Sorcerer so much. They get it automatically. Anyway, so past that, we're looking at a lot of feats that are improving and adding to our magic because one of the main weakness of the sorcerer class is that they just don't get many spells.
Hmm.
Now, there are some subclasses that fix this, specifically the Clockwork Soul and the Aberrant Mind, and to a lesser extent, the Lunar Sorcerer. Clockwork Soul and Aberrant Mind give you a set of spells that are very much like a cleric's expanded domain list. Difference being, you can swap them out every time you level up. You can swap one of those spells out to a different spell. You're only restricted by the spell school. So Clockwork can get transmutation and abjuration spells, and Aberrant Mind can get enchantment and divination spells.
Oh, what about Divine Soul? That just
Divine
gives you.
Soul gets
Go
the
ahead.
same number of spells,
Ah,
but they also get to choose from the cleric list.
right.
So that's it. Actually makes your spell selections on a Divine Soul Sorcerer very difficult because you've got a huge smattering of fantastic options, but not many choices with which to pick them.
Yeah.
Now, the Lunar Sorcerer also gives you an expanded spell list. It's actually a much larger expanded spell list. It's 15 spells instead of 10, but they're locked in, and most of them are bad. Like 90% of them you will never cast.
How bad are we talking?
Color Spray, Ray of Sickness,
I like Color Spray.
Phantom
Thematic.
Steed,
That's
which
a
is a
good
good
one.
spell,
Yeah.
but we're not ritual casters.
Oh, right. Um,
So
well,
it's either way.
we could be though.
Yes, we could be. So let's talk about ritual caster.
Okay.
Now, ritual caster gives you, it does require a 13 wisdom, and that's going to be a hurdle for some sorcerers to overcome, because you want to
What are
prioritize your
sorcerers?
charisma.
What else? Oh, yeah, definitely charisma. What else? What's next?
Constitution definitely comes up next to maintain your spells, and
Yes.
you're also going to want probably at least a 14 dexterity, to make the most out of medium armor, which you can easily get through a quick 1 level dip into Hexblade Warlock or a number of other multi-classes that sorcerers are very happy to take. Um, that leaves you with wisdom as your probably fourth most important ability score. So you might be able to swing it,
It's
you
tough to
might not.
squeeze a 13 out of number 4.
Yeah, so that's why I say if you can't take Ritual Caster, it's great. I highly recommend it.
None of
Not
these
every sorcerer may
other
be able to.
none of these other feats we're taking are pumping our wisdom, are they?
No, they're not.
No. That's a
Technically,
bummer.
like Telekinetic or Fey Touch could, but you're bumping your charisma with those.
Yeah.
You're not. You have to focus on what's most important. So it's something that you need to decide if you want to aim for at character creation. Now, if you do decide to aim for it, it's really cool. Sorcerers get to then take all of their known spells that are um, ritual spells, but they can't cast as rituals, and make them ritual spells. And now they can cast them as ritual spells because they have the feat.
Yeah.
Then the really cool thing about that as a sorcerer is now when you level up next time, you can unlearn that spell that is now a ritual for you and replace it with a different spell that's not a ritual. So you've
Okay.
essentially expanded your spell list, and you haven't actually lost any spells.
You just have to ritual cast some of them,
Exactly.
which
And
is
something
fine.
like detect magic or something, you're
Yeah.
gonna want to ritual cast 90% of the time anyway. So yeah, ritual caster really really good on sorcerer. It also allows you to pick up some of the utility spells that the sorcerer class is lacking from the wizard. Things like find familiar, things like telepathic bond, things like tiny hut. So all these things are things that the sorcerer wants, but many of them can't have. This opens up that door for you.
Yeah.
Um, Now, if you can't swing the 13 wisdom for Ritual Caster, Magic Initiate is a fine substitute. You can still get fine familiar with this, and you can still pick up a couple of cantrips. Sorcerer is actually the most cantrip laden class in the game. They get 4 to start off with. Um, that's great. That's fantastic. You might want even more. Nothing wrong with
Sure.
that. So it's totally fine to pick that up. Um, it allows you to also diversify yourself a little bit. You know, you pick up the really good cantrips like Firebolt and Message and uh, Mage Hand,
Well,
things
maybe
like
you
that.
don't pick up
And
Mage Hand because
you could also pick up Telekinetic, and it
they,
works really well with the Sorcerer.
but you
Uh,
might do it anyway because one of my favorite things about Telekinetic is that if you already have Mage Hand, it gets improved. That's
exactly.
I wish I think in our last video we talked about a game mechanic that doesn't. Yeah, the rogue,
Slippery mind.
resilient. Yeah, slippery mind. You know,
Yeah.
so I forgot the comparison you made, but yeah, if you've already got um the wisdom, help me
Wisdom
out here,
saves.
wisdom saves, then you can't sub it with something else. But
Yeah, exactly.
or it doesn't like get like wisdom super save or something. You
Exactly.
know?
Give me expertise in wisdom saves or
Right.
something, right? Anyway, point being, uh, Telekinetic works really well with the Sorcerer because, yeah, you do have Quicken Spell, which can take up your bonus action, right? But you're not doing that every turn.
No.
It's two sorcery points each time. You're gonna run out. So Telekinetic gives us a constant and easy use for our bonus action, gives us a 5-foot shove, and sorcerers are laden with amazing AoE spells that you can lay down, push people into as they get out of it. It's
Yeah.
really, really useful. It synergizes well with what you're already doing.
I mean, I always think of telekinetic as like team play, but you don't even need that. You lay down your own
Yeah,
traps, you shove somebody into them.
yeah, you can do it. You can do it all by yourself. Um, it's really, really useful. Sorcerers, like I said, they get all the great AoE spells. So you got something like a sickening radiance. Just keep pushing them back in there. They'll die eventually.
Yeah, that's a brutal
Literally.
one. Yes.
So yeah, I think telekinetic is an easy automatic pick just because you don't have a lot to do with your bonus action otherwise, unless you're specializing or multi-classing or something.
Yeah.
So past that, more feats that can give us more spells. So Fey Touched and Shadow Touched are fantastic picks, both of them for sorcerers. Sorcerers might find it hard to fit a spell like, Misty Step on their sheet with so few spells to know. They might want an offensive spell, at that second level
Mhm.
slot. So this allows them to grab that utility and they can cast it with their sorcerer spells. Think about it this way. You pick up this at level 4, you're going from knowing, I believe, 5 spells. Yes, 5 spells to now knowing 8.
That's a big
Or
leap.
no, excuse me, 7.
Oh,
Well, you would have gone from level 3, where you only knew 4 spells, to bumping up to level 4, gaining a spell from that, and then also gaining 2 more spells. So you'd get 3 extra spells just from one level up.
okay.
So it feels really good to take, is
Oh,
what I'm
sure.
saying. And I would say that Shadow Touched is less desirable than Fade Touched, but sorcerers can already get all of these spells, so they're pretty even. It's basically just
Mhm.
pick whichever ones you didn't want to pick as you were leveling up.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So if you've already grabbed Misty Step and Silvery Barb as you were leveling up, grab Shadow Touch and get Invisibility and
Mhm.
Silent Image, and vice versa.
Right.
So past that, those are kind of the big hits in terms of spell feats that we want to grab. And sorcerers, like I said, they are hungry for more learned spells. And if you take these feats, you grab all of these things, it will fill up your sheet. You'll have a lot more to do and a lot more
You're
options
still
in combat.
Yeah, I mean, you're still going to be limited in your upper tier spells, but the
Yeah,
nice thing about level 1 spells, sometimes level 2 spells, is that they're some of them, the good ones are, they do all kind of things and they can still be useful at all stages of the game.
yeah, you're casting shield for the whole campaign.
Right.
So
Silvery barbs,
yeah,
Misty Step.
yeah, sorcerers can be really mean if they want to. They could do a I can't remember the name of it. It's a meta magic that gives an enemy disadvantage on the saving throw of your spell, and you can combine that with silvery barbs.
Yeah,
Costs 3 sorcery points, so it's expensive, but you can't do it.
yeah, I forgot what that one was called. We Sam and I
And
recently did the Metamagic ranking videos.
it's not empowered spell. That's the one that does more damage.
Uh,
Anyway,
well, yeah,
point being, it's a good strategy if you really need something to land. If you need a hold person to land, that'll do it. Assuming they don't have legendary resistance. Just watch out for
yeah.
that. Now, past that, we have some other feats that we might look into. Inspiring Leader is really good on a sorcerer because we already have a high charisma to use it with.
Yeah.
Um, now, of course,
As a charisma person, though, I thought you meant particularly for a sorcerer because no. Just
Well,
because of the
it
charisma?
does fill a niche. Sorcerers don't really have great ways to play support besides battlefield control, which is
Yeah.
support, don't get me wrong, but in terms of buffing your allies, things like that, they are lacking in that department, and therefore this can be a great way to be kind of a team player. You can be the one that says, "Hey, I'll be the temporary hit point battery for the party," and there are other ways to do that. Artillerist Artificer and the Twilight Domain Cleric are better ways of giving the entire party temporary hit points. But if nobody's playing those, if nobody wants to play those, this is a great substitute, and it'll give your entire party and more because it's unlimited uses.
Yes.
At if your Necromancer Wizard has an army of 30 undead, guess what? They all have 15 extra HP, and the enemies have to chew through all of that.
That's fantastic. Yes.
Yeah, so excuse me. I highly recommend it. Alert is also really, really good on a full caster like a sorcerer. Getting a +5 to your initiative is massive when you have spells like Hypnotic Pattern and Fear. It is it can completely change the outcome of a battle right then and there because it allows you to lay down that AoE spell that may be difficult to lay down when people start getting, mixed up in melee.
Yeah.
Now, sorcerers do have careful spell, which allows them to choose a ally to automatically succeed on the saving throw of a spell if they're caught in the AoE of it.
Mm-hmm.
But that's using sorcery points that you might want to use on something else. So
Yeah.
it also doesn't protect them from fireballs or anything like that. You're still taking damage even if you succeed the save.
Yeah.
So alert is really good, and also not being surprised is great as a D6 class. You don't have a lot of
That's
HP,
true.
so a surprise round can be really, really bad, even for an optimized character. If your party gets surprised, you will have a very difficult time. Anybody that's played the beginning of Act 2 of Baldur's Gate 3 will tell you, surprise sucks. You get hit by it a lot in that part of the game, and you can just have people die all out of nowhere from 20 attacks coming at them, and you had no chance to respond. Guess
Yeah.
what? It works the same in tabletop. If you're not careful, it'll kill you.
Especially if you look like a spellcaster.
Exactly. That's why all spellcasters should wear armor. Disguise yourself.
Oh.
So past that, resilient. Now, Constitution is already taken care of, actually. Sorcerers are blessed in that they are the only full caster that gets Constitution saving throw proficiency.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, so for that reason, that's why I haven't really mentioned like something like Warcaster yet. You might need it, but you also likely don't, unless you're doing something a very specialized build where you're going to be in melee or something. You probably just can lean on your Constitution saving throw proficiency. You're going to be at range most of the time. You're not going to be taking a bunch of attacks, hopefully, and it'll probably be good enough. So for that, that means that we can instead take Resilient for Wisdom. And, you're not escaping it because sorcerers will suck at their Wisdom saving throws. Because I told you already that it's difficult to even get 13 in Wisdom for Ritual Caster. Resilient.
Hello? Oh, there you are. Okay.
Yep. Sorry.
Yeah, you froze for a second. Yeah.
My bad. I was just
All
saying
right.
that without Resilient, you're likely not to have more than a +1 to Wisdom saving throws,
If
and
that, yeah.
you will get mind controlled all the time. Don't let that happen to you. Nothing is more dangerous than a man with 3 fireball slots that is mind controlled by the succubus.
Yeah.
It's really
I
dangerous.
won't argue that.
So I passed that. Lucky, tough. Sorcerers don't maybe need lucky as much as some other classes might, because you're not making a bunch of skill checks. You're hopefully not making a bunch of saving throws, but you might. But it's still good. Of course you'll still take it at high levels when you don't have anything better to take.
No.
And tough as like I said, a D6 class. That'll feel like a lot of extra hit points if you do decide that you want to do that.
Yeah, I guess yeah, that should up things by like 25% then. No, D6 plus 2, that's like
It's
33%. Yeah.
essentially, yeah, it's essentially changing it yourself to a D10 class.
Is it?
That's kind of how the math
Oh,
works
because
out.
averages, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So you essentially will now have the HP of a fighter.
Hmm.
So it's not that big of a deal. I don't
Well, no, I
recommend
mean
that highly,
you're
but
you're not trying to get hit at all.
yeah, exactly. That's the hope anyway. Sorcerers are really good at buffing their AC. You can put on medium armor, you can hold a shield with a very easy multi-class dip. And through doing that, you have an automatic armor class of 19 if you have the best armor without any magic items or anything. You can throw a shield on top of that for an armor class of 24. That's going to carry you through until the late game, to be honest. So, yeah, you're not hopefully taking too many hits as a sorcerer.
Yep. If not, maybe multi-class earlier.
Yeah, the general way I will say, if you want my opinion, the best way to do it is take your first level in sorcerer, so you grab the Constitution saving throw proficiency, then take your second level into Hexblade Warlock to get the armor proficiency. If you would like to get Eldritch Blast and Agonizing Blast and all that fun stuff, because it combos really well with the sorcerer package,
Mm-hmm.
take a second level in Warlock there as your third level, and then just go the rest into sorcerer.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah, so that's a really quick, easy way to make an optimized sorcerer warlock build. Anybody can do it, and it'll play amazing in anybody's hands.
Oh, perhaps you'll see it later on this channel.
Yeah, might see how we can optimize that even further.
All right. Well, now those were Cameron's pick for the best feats for sorcerers. That is just generic sorcerer. We'll eventually probably be covering all the different sorcerer subclasses as well. Stay tuned. Thank you, Cameron, for being here. Thank you for joining us and watching. Let us know what you think of his picks down in the comments below. And hey, tell us your picks. Tell us something we missed. Tell us something he picked that you think is crap. Whatever. Leave us a
Tell me that,
comment.
yeah, tell me that
Yeah.
sorcerer should take Crusher.
All right. Yeah. Why wouldn't they? All right.
Yeah.
Like, subscribe. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.